Why do you support Trump?
I'm glad you did what you just did because, like, you got to be grateful that people like me support Trump because you have no platform outside of him. Do you do anything else but Donald Trump every day?
I talk about politics. He's the president of the United States. When he's not here anymore, I still will talk about politics. Plus, I had a
I
platform where
where
thousands of people would come into my stream every single day, concurrently, the entire time, where I would talk about topics that didn't even have to do with Trump. So I've had a platform before talking about Trump. I'll have a platform after I'm done talking about Trump, still talking
okay,
about
where's that
politics.
at though? I've just never seen it. Maybe.
Yeah, because you've just seen my account recently. I've been doing this for years.
Oh, oh, where at on TikTok?
On TikTok, yes.
So I guess this topic has made you more famous or more popular
So more
and
people
more
have seen me
richer.
on this topic, yes.
And yeah, okay, so more richer. So you got to thank Trump for something, don't
More
you?
richer. That makes lots of sense.
Or whatever the freak you want to use. More
Wealthier.
wealthier. Yeah.
Yeah,
So you
I've
got to
gotten
thank him
wealthier
for
on
right.
Trump. How does that feel? Does it make you feel
Yeah.
jealous? Does it make you feel
No,
angry?
no, not really. It's kind of weird. To be honest with you, it's kind of
What's weird about that?
because you sit here and you bash him, but yet, I mean, it's a good
Should
technique. It's a
cops?
good.
Can I ask you a question?
It's like you're like, yeah, go ahead. Of
Should
course.
cops be
Why
thinking
am I getting
criminals?
feedback? Oh no, they do. Your county coffers thank them.
So you think
Yeah,
that
pulling over people and giving them tickets is a lot for the community.
okay.
Yeah,
So for example, like
it's
people
true.
who work in holding people accountable for child, should they thank the child for committing those acts of violence so that they
Of
have a
course,
job in the
you
first
always
place?
go somewhere to pull on heartstrings. You would
No, I'm
have to
asking
bring
like
something like
should
that
they be
up.
thanking those child because they wouldn't have a
That's
job
stupid.
if it
You're being
wasn't for those
stupid.
child
You were smarter than that. So you're gonna bring up something like that. That's so
because it makes you
stupid
look
and
absurd.
mundane. How does it make me look absurd?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
you're making money off the name Donald Trump.
Should Chris Hansen be thanking the pedophiles?
What? I don't,
He wouldn't
that
have a
makes
job if
no
it
sense.
wasn't for
You're
holding
trying.
pedophiles accountable, right?
It's what your ilk typically does. You try to go to the heartstrings of shit.
You have no
Why
response,
don't you
buddy,
keep it?
because you know you got cooked. You know you got
How did
destroyed,
I get
actually.
cooked?
You got no response.
How
Give me
did
a response. You know
how
you got
did I
nothing.
get cooked?
Yes, you did.
Oh, so you want me to say, yeah, it's great for pedophiles to be doing that shit? And
Yeah, should Chris
Hansen,
Hansen be thanking the pedophiles?
you're a child, dude.
Yeah,
You
you're gonna
really
run
are
away.
a
Watch, he's about to
child.
run away because I just
Me?
dog walked his
Oh,
ass.
hell
Watch this.
no. I will
So
not run
answer the
away for
question.
nothing.
Should, under your view,
It
should
took you
Chris
forever to
Hansen
drop that guy. That conversation
answer
wasn't
the
going
question?
anywhere.
Answer the question.
I
Should Chris Hansen be thanking the pedophiles because he wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for those pedophiles committing those acts of
no,
pedophilia?
but he had a job prior to that. We'll say, like you just
Wait,
said,
I did
he had a
too.
job prior to that.
I did too.
Well, but my point is, this made you famous, or this
Okay,
made
that made
you
him famous.
wealthier.
That made him wealthier.
But where does I know what you're trying to do, like you're trying to compare, but it's really stupid.
It's
To
completely
be honest
matching up.
with
You have no
it's
response.
it's
It's
not
childish
matching
because I've
up.
owned you.
It's no, you didn't,
That's your ad
and I
hominem.
hope it's making your audience. You think it's making you look better because you think you own somebody on it. Because I don't want to
I
admit to
completely
fucking.
destroyed your
Because I
argument.
don't
You
want
have no
to.
response.
Because how that's not the response is. So you want me to admit and say, yeah, pedophiles are good to make Chris
No.
Hansen famous.
No.
Then what do you want me to say?
What I want you to say in response to that is, oh yeah, you know what? That makes sense.
Why
It
couldn't
makes
you use
sense.
a different example other than pedophiles?
Joey,
then?
Joey,
Why don't you
Joey,
use a different example?
Joey, let me tell you what I want you to respond with in this scenario. What would make sense for you to
Because
respond?
you just want me to admit to pedophiles and shit. Why couldn't you think of
Joey,
some other kind of scenario?
Joey, the scenario is to
I
obviously.
see what you, dude.
Joey,
I
I'm
watch
trying to tell you. I understand.
Yeah,
The scenario is, I don't think that you're going to say that. That's why I'm giving you the example. I think that inevitably it's going to cause you to realize that, oh, okay, just because the person has this job, criticizing or going after a certain type of person does not mean they should thank that particular person they're criticizing or going after just because they have the job doing that.
No.
Okay? So if I'm
No, you're allowed
criticizing
to
or I
criticize
disagree with
him.
Trump, I think he's horrible, right? It doesn't make sense for me to thank Trump, right? For me having a platform or whatever, because I run my platform saying how bad Trump is and saying how you shouldn't support Trump. That doesn't mean I should thank Trump. In the same way,
It's
it wouldn't mean that
I
a
think you
cop should
should.
thank a criminal. In the same way that it shouldn't
I,
mean that Chris Hansen
I
should thank
see
the
the pain you're
pedophiles
trying to
that
go
he's
down,
literally
but it's still
catching.
making you money. It's still making you wealthier.
I'm
I see
making
the
my. I
avenue
am
you're
doing
trying.
that myself. That's
I
through my
get.
own work.
I don't think on other platforms you'd have such things because I know a lot of people suffer from TDS.
Yeah,
So you're
Trump
making
devotion
you're
syndrome, like
making and
yourself.
you no Trump's derangement syndrome, like you and your audience. A lot of.
So
All right. So
why
let's
do you
get
think
back.
that we have
Hold on.
TDS?
About the thing he signed for transgenders, right? Why are you so hell
Trans
bent
people.
on that? Trans
Uh,
people. Why on his executive order? You know, executive orders are nothing but fanfare and
You
circumstance,
said,
right?
why
They're
am I
just.
so hell bent on that? I only say that in response to people who specifically have brought it up on the live saying they care about
Oh, is
it.
that what? Maybe I only
Yeah,
joined on
that
half
last
that
guest
part.
was coming up on the stream saying he cares about it. I actually think it's something that we shouldn't even be discussing in politics. Has nothing to do with the federal government because literally there are no trans people that are dominating sports. Like there's literally nothing. It's not something
No,
that
I
should be
agree
dealt
with
with
you.
by the
See, I
federal
agree with
government.
you on
It
that.
should be up to local sports organizations. The federal government should have no say, all right, on whether a trans person is allowed to play in a local sports organization.
Yeah, so your local government should have something to say, not your federal government. I agree.
It should be the local sports organizations, is what I was saying. Not even the local
Oh, yeah.
governments, the local sports organizations.
All right. And what was your point? Because I kept seeing you bringing up executive orders, like he has time to do that, and there's other things going on in this country. You know, because executive orders are just pomp and just they're just for the audience. They mean nothing.
Wait, that's exactly the point I was making. So thank you very much.
Well, that's what you're making it, him.
Yeah, that's actually the exact point I was making. Yeah.
I didn't see. Well, sometimes you don't make your point
Well,
so clearly.
not like I don't say that with all executive orders, but that executive order specifically was absolutely just for the base, just to like act like he's doing something, but he's not actually doing anything for it. So yeah, that was just to rile up his base. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
not true for
because
all executive orders. Some executive orders have effects, but yeah, for this executive order,
yeah,
that was absolutely true.
yeah, and both sides do that. You do realize that. You know that.
Can you give me an example of Joe Biden doing that?
I'll give you an example of Obama doing it on the second term. The
I
first day.
asked for Joe
Hold on.
Biden, sir.
Well, Joe Biden, I didn't really pay attention in that much. I'm sure
Okay.
there is one. I'm sure there's a few. But you said give me an example, but you went right to Biden. I'll give you a Democratic example. Obama, who did two terms. Are you hitting a
No,
He's
no,
hitting
no,
his
no, no.
vape pen? His vape pen.
No, no,
That's cool.
nothing.
Yeah, nothing. You're right. That's okay. So Obama on a second term signed a executive order to close Guantanamo Bay within a year. And that was his second term. So we had another 4 years to go to close Guantanamo. You can look it up. You can go watch it. It was his first thing he signed on the second term to close Guantanamo Bay. Guess what's still open? Obviously. He couldn't even get it done in 4 years. And it's still open under Biden administration. So my point is, it's a lot of it. It's just for the base. You looking it up because it's true.
No, so
I watched it.
you're saying that he passed an executive order to close
Yeah,
Guantanamo Bay, but
yeah,
it
he
can't do
signed
that.
it,
I
but they
could
never
totally.
did. They never did. It was his second term. His first thing he did on an executive
No, that
order.
was 2009 actually, in December. He issued a memorandum directing the Secretary of Defense to make arrangements for the detainees of Guantanamo Bay to be transferred to prisons and facilities inside of the U.S. Yeah, so
No, he
he
made
did
it.
this in
I watched
2009.
it.
I don't even know if this is executive
He
order based.
executive. He did an executive order to close Guantanamo Bay.
Yeah, and do you have evidence that that didn't happen?
It's still open. What do you mean? They still transport people there. It's still open. What do you mean?
Um, it said as of January 19, 2017, 41 detainees remain at Guantanamo Bay. So in efforts to safely and responsibly close Guantanamo Bay detention facility, this administration has pursued four lines of effort simultaneously identifying and effectuating transfer opportunities for detainees designated for transfer or who are not currently facing military commission charges to ensure detention is only continued when necessary. Three, continuing to with ongoing military commissions and prosecutions, and for those detained who remain designated for continued law of war detention, identifying individualized dispositions where available, including transfer to third countries, including for foreign prosecution, and urging Congress to lift the ban on transfers to the United States to allow for the safe relocation of the limited number of detainees who are not currently approved for transfer, or for whom another disposition has not yet been identified to an appropriate site in the United States, while continuing to identify other appropriate and lawful dispositions. In addition,
Are you
all
reading the
detainees
entire?
at Guantanamo continue to be able to pursue of the writ of the habeas corpus. So let's just be very clear. Like this is explicitly saying that there are preventions from Congress on who they can remove from those particular facilities that they were trying to get past, and that they did remove most of the individuals specifically from these facilities that were held there. It said more than 90% have been transferred. So they
Right. No,
actually
I know all
were
that took place,
so
but
they actually were fulfilling the order of the
his
executive
executive
order.
order
There were
to
just certain
close
limitations on the
Guantanamo
fulfillment.
Bay.
Wait, hold up. They were fulfilling the order, right? It's just that there were certain limitations on fulfilling the order under the Obama
Oh,
administration. So you claiming this is an executive order that they specifically did that had absolutely no
that's what he
effect is
did.
simply false.
He wanted to close Guantanamo Bay, but it's still open.
You have to understand that
That was part of the executive order.
wait, but you understand that there were legal limitations to doing so that Congress had put in place.
Right. Again, back to what we originally said. These executive orders are just
This is
sometimes
just
just for
not
the
the same thing.
base.
And also, by the way, the
It is.
executive order that was
Listen.
established means that their efforts were to close it, not that they were 100% able to close all of it.
Oh, well then the regular base and the regular man people thought, oh, for sure he was closing it.
Say that again?
Well, his base and everybody else, they mislead you like typical governments do.
I don't see
Like
how
it's
that's
gonna
misleading on his behalf because that's what he
how
was fighting
he
for. Listen, that's what he was fighting for. There were just limitations on behalf of specifically Congress because Congress had put in place limitations. They did
uh,
so for most individuals. And
it doesn't
they
surprise
literally
me to have
gave
any excuse for
explicit
a Democrat,
scenarios of
of
what was
course.
preventing them from doing so and how they were trying still to do so.
Of course. Yeah. Is that apple juice?
No, it's orange juice.
Damn. Thick. Freshly squeezed.
Yeah, it is.
All right, what else we want to bring up? Anything else? I'm glad you cut that guy off the last time. That was not going nowhere, that conversation, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I agree. It was going nowhere. Now, I can ask you some questions, Joey.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, good.
yeah. If Donald Trump called for the execution of some Democrats, would you stop supporting him?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we don't do that.
By the way, that's not my laundry. That's the guest. So
Yeah, it's my microwave.
that was your microwave.
Yeah,
So you said so.
reheating my
Sorry, what did
coffee.
you say in response to my question?
Uh, yeah, I agree. That shouldn't take place. We don't do that.
What are you
To
saying shouldn't
execute
take place? Sorry.
what you just asked,
Yeah, and what was that?
to execute Democratic members. What
So
did you say?
you agree that you wouldn't support Trump if he called for the
Right,
execution of some Democrats, right?
right. What did he
He
say
did
that
do
on
that.
this?
He did do that.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes he don't. Sometimes he says stuff that maybe he should retract or like, I really didn't mean to say it like that. Or oh, believe me, I cringe a lot of
You said
stuff
he's
he
retracted it.
posts.
No, he never retracted the
No, I'm
statement.
saying he needs to learn to do that. Some
Okay,
things
but
he needs to learn to retract, or like I think he talks without using people to filter it before he posts it.
okay, so I
Like
guess
most politicians do.
yeah. So then I guess my question is that if you said you wouldn't support him if he called for the execution of some Democrats, and he did call for the execution of
He
some
did. Where's
Democrats,
that at? On his
I'll show you.
social media? On what?
Yeah, on Truth Social, I can show you
What do you
the.
say exactly?
He reposted someone saying them George Washington would.
He reposted what somebody else said.
Yeah.
Oh, that's bizarre. Who said that
Let me show
originally?
you. It was literally some random comment on Truth Social that he just decided to promote and perpetuate after claiming that these people
Well,
were
I mean,
traitors. So let me
should
show.
somebody in a public square, but treason is still
That's not it.
a
They didn't commit treason, so
oh, but I'm sure there's more context to that though.
nope.
And
I'll play to you the whole context. I got you.
I guess my daughter listens to your show also.
Oh, W, your daughter. Here, 1 second.
I give
So
a
it
shout out
started
to your
off with
daughter.
this message. Do you see this?
Let me see.
Democratic veterans urge service members to refuse unspecified unlawful orders. Do you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Urge service
Oh,
members
I've
to
seen.
refuse unspecified unlawful orders by saying that this is really bad and
Here, let me make sure you can see the whole message. This is really bad and dangerous to our country. Their words cannot be allowed to stand. Seditious behavior from traitors, lock them up. President DJT. Again, all they said was if you're given an unlawful order, don't follow it. That's it, which is what the UCMJ tells you to
Yeah,
do.
I remember that
That's
when that took, but it says sedition and traitors lock them up. Where'd you
Watch
say
this.
dangerous
Watch
to our
this.
country, and that their words cannot be allowed to stand. He then followed that up with a second post that reads, "This is seditious behavior, punishable by death." And then he reposted a comment that reads, quote unquote, "them George Washington would."
Yeah, it's he's a little much, but again, back to the point. But isn't treasonous and seditious behavior punishable by death? Whether it's
This isn't
we
seditious or
obviously don't.
treasonous behavior. And even
Yeah,
so,
some people
I don't
argue
believe
it
in the
is
death
what they
penalty.
did. Oh well, that depends.
No,
For
the reason
something
why I
like
don't believe
that,
in the
no.
death penalty
So
is
something for
because,
words, I totally agree.
yeah, I don't believe in the death penalty because innocent people will die if we do the death penalty. 4% of people in death row are innocent. Now, like, do I have a moral issue if if I know for certain that a certain person did this and they were to be death penalty executed? I wouldn't have an issue, to be honest with you, if we're talking about the worst possible people. But
Okay,
um,
so
like
I was going to do
the
that follow
issue
up
is that
question
more
like you did
innocent people will die.
with Chris Hansen with me. I was going to do that to you and say something, but I didn't. But you succeeded before I even asked that kind of bizarre question. If it was somebody. But
Yeah, yeah. I wouldn't have a moral issue. So, I mean, I can address those things very quickly. You see how quickly I addressed it before
yeah,
you even
and
could ask the
actually,
question.
I'd like to see more content from you on different subject matters because I think
Yeah.
it'd be very interesting.
Well, then ask me about them.
Well, at this time I can't. I'm ready to finish my laundry, and I just wanted to bring up why do you support Trump, and I was going to give you crap about you should be thankful we support Trump
Wait, so but
because it
before we
makes
do
you
so,
wealthier. Because when you shout out this money everybody's throwing you, I'm like, I ain't gonna lie, it's like, God damn, this guy could drive. What do you drive? No, I'm not gonna dox you, but Land
I
Rover,
drive a
maybe
typical SUV. I have the same car that I had before I even
typical
started doing
SUV.
TikTok.
Oh, did you
Yeah,
really?
yeah.
All right,
I've had the same car that I got, like at the beginning of college.
all right. So you're banking it, okay?
Yeah, I'm not like a really big like person who likes getting expensive cars or anything.
Yeah, I was kind of being a smartass at that point, but at the same time, but then again, I don't know you, so you might have went out and bought, indulged in a Corvette. I didn't say a Lamborghini for Christ's sake, but
No, no. But yeah, no. So again, so you said you wouldn't support Trump if he called for the execution of his political opponents. He didn't do, or he did do that. Therefore, you shouldn't support him, right?
well, I mean, if they're doing seditious and they're doing traitor behavior, maybe, you know, and I don't see them, and I don't. Maybe you're right on words. I don't think you should execute somebody on words, but throw them in prison for a while. I'm comfortable with that. I have no moral against that.
Okay.
But yeah, to
So
execute
then you
somebody over
wouldn't. So then you do
words,
still support him, even though he did say that.
yeah, I don't like what he said. I don't support what he said like that. Yeah,
But you still support him.
I voted for him.
Would you still vote for him, given that you have this information
Well,
now?
yeah. I can't vote for him. It's done. It's his
Well, I
last
meant
term.
like if the
So,
election were held today and it was a choice between Harris versus Trump right now, or you could choose not to vote, what would you choose to do?
meaning he didn't say that, and then I found out the day before election.
Meaning he did
What
say
he,
this, and the election is just set to happen today.
eh, I don't know. I do. That's why I will say this on my personal opinion about early voting and stuff like that. That's why I vote on election day because I don't want to like the the person I'm endorsing. Like say I do a mail-in ballot. or do early voting, and then 2 days prior to them getting elected, or election day itself, they've caught red-handed doing something really seditious or horrible. Meanwhile, you done cast your vote for them already. Like, I'll wait sometimes 20 minutes for a pub sub every other week, but I can't wait 20 minutes to
So I
go
just want
vote
you to know you
somewhere
did vote
once
for
every
Trump, even
4
though
years.
it was public that he was held civilly liable of sexually abusing a woman at the time you voted for him. It had been for over a
At
year and a
that time,
half.
the specifics of that case, she didn't remember dates and times. She didn't remember a lot of stuff. I think she
She
just
did
went. My
remember the
opinion is
year.
she
You don't
went
need to
after
remember
him
day and
for,
time.
and he was prosecuted in a Democratic city under a Democratic watch. So I think it's a little unfair.
Yeah, and
So
so then let me tell you, on every
and
single
I
person,
think they were trying to meddle in an election just for that reason alone. They all should have
no.
been held. No, yeah, they did try to
S-
meddle in the election.
The
They all tried
DNC
to
has
bring him up on
nothing to do
charges,
with that
knowing
case.
he was running.
The DNC
He
has
was
nothing to do with
running
that
for
case.
president, and they all tried to get him.
The DNC has nothing to do with that case. She started going after him in
Okay.
2019 when he was already president, and she held him liable in 2023. Okay, and he was held liable unanimously by a jury of 9 people. Let's assume Manhattan demographics for politics. You're going to assume at least 1 to 3 members of the jury were either apolitical, independent, or conservative. We do know at least one person on the jury was an avid Tim Pool watcher and thought he was a conservative or thought he was a moderate. And actually, again, Donald Trump's lawyers fought to keep him on the jury, right? And were successful in doing so. They kept that person on the jury. And you don't want to know what? That person indicated that Donald Trump sexually abused Eugene Carroll based upon the civil court determination. So you claim that there's no evidence for it. The jury claims the opposite.
Oh, I claim there's no evidence to why wasn't he arrested for it on a criminal charge.
Because of statute of limitations, which means after a certain amount of years,
I
regardless
thought there
of
wasn't no stamina to limitations on rape.
there is for criminal
There
cases
is.
in New York for 5 years. Yeah, that's what it was.
So they changed that because to me,
I haven't
as
seen
far as I
anything
know,
about
there's
the
no
criminal court
statute of
changing, but I do know
limitations.
the civil court is what changed for specifically statute of limitations for Child Survivors Act and Adult Survivors Act, right? And that changed, which allowed for Eugene Carroll to then go and do this. But thousands of other people were also able to hold their abusers accountable in New York because of the change in the statute of limitations for civil courts. But this didn't apply to criminal courts.
Yeah, well, I still voted for him, and the hypotheticals that sometimes are, would you vote for him today? Would you vote for this, that? I don't like hypotheticals, and then my imaginary chopper's gonna fall out of the sky and drop down a rope, and I'm just
None
gonna
of these were
leave this
imaginary. All of these.
conversation.
The only question I
No,
asked you is, would you support him if he did this thing? He did do this thing. I'm just trying to ask you, would you support him if he
I
did this thing? Because when it's hypothetical, people are
if
more
he
able
was
to answer
arrested
correctly.
and
They're more able to
charged
answer
criminally,
with respect to their actual values rather than actually, oh, now you heard Trump did this. Oh, now I'm going to say differently. Now I'm going to be in support of it. Like seriously, Trump supporters will constantly justify it and they'll be like, oh, I wouldn't support him in the hypothetical, right? And then I tell them it's applicable in this case, and it is applicable to Trump, and then they defend it. So it's a
on
part
a
of
civil
showing
matter,
the
I
double
just
standard and
but
hypocrisy of Trump supporters.
where's the double standard I'm doing? Their hypocrisy.
Yeah,
I just
like
don't. I don't think on a civil matter. If he was arrested, if you ask me hypothetically, if he was arrested and criminally charged and convicted of rape, there's no way I would have never voted for him.
why not? Why is a civil case not enough for you?
Because it's why wasn't enough to prosecute on a criminal
Because
basis.
I told you, because of statute of limitations.
So her not remembering dates and times means nothing, and there was all kinds of specifics to that case that just didn't seem right.
What? Can
Yeah,
you name a
no
specific piece of it?
eyewitnesses.
Yeah, there doesn't need to be.
Him being alone without no bodyguards or nothing like that, even before he was president, was unlikely.
Yeah,
But
there are
there's no
cases where,
witnesses. There's no
yeah,
nothing
yeah,
about
and
that
there were multiple people who
dressing
specifically
room
worked at
incident.
Bergdorf Goodman that talked about the fact that it was very likely that no one would be on that particular floor at the time in which it happened, that no person who was working there would be there, that they didn't have access to the cameras. That is exactly what you would expect in this scenario. The issue is that you don't think that Donald Trump specifically, actually, hold this. Do you think this was politically motivated?
Yes, I think
Okay.
a lot, and
How was
mostly a
it
lot.
politically motivated if multiple of her friends testified under oath that she told them that she was assaulted by Donald Trump back in the 90s when she was assaulted? How is it politically motivated? Because this is before he ever ran for
Ugh.
political office.
Yeah, but the charges, no, it was his first term. When was he tried civilly for? It was during his first term, or
Yeah,
right before his
sir,
first
you need to
term
listen to
when he
me.
ran. Yes.
Yeah, she
Okay.
had
So
friends.
he was still so even when she initially said before he ran for president the first time, correct? He was
Sir,
still a
you did
wealthy
not even
billionaire.
you just like completely didn't understand or comprehend what I said, apparently. Did you hear anything I said?
You tried to say before he ran for president.
Yes. Okay. E. Jean Carroll's friends specifically, she told them in the 90s. Okay, if it was politically motivated, how would they then be able to testify under oath that the eyewitness report her telling them she was assaulted in the 90s?
Right. And I agree that if her friends did that in the 90s, it had nothing to do with him being president. It was him being a
Exactly.
wealthy millionaire. It was him being a wealthy millionaire
Okay,
that
so
she
now
can
you've
civilly go
moved the
after.
goalpost. Now it's not politically
What do you
motivated.
mean?
Now it's for money.
Well, when it becomes politically motivated, but when they don't, when they do not start to charge him until he's running for president, you
No,
don't see that difference.
she originally started
Okay.
with just accusing him.
Okay. So
Listen,
why wasn't anything
she
done then?
let me tell you. She originally started with just accusing him specifically in the context of the book. He was then defaming her, and she went after him for defamation. That is one thing. Secondly, the change in
Right.
the
I
statute of
remember that.
limitations for the Adult Survivors Act and the Child Survivors Act allowed for her to do so. There were statute of limitations that existed both for civil courts and criminal courts for sexual abuse prior to this point.
So again, that didn't answer my. Why didn't she do it when this originally happened?
Again, many victims, it takes them decades to come out because
Oh.
people will not believe them, because
But
people harass
her
them.
friends,
I'm gonna
her
be totally
friends at the
honest with you.
time,
Hey, sir,
you said
because
her friends at the time,
you know what? I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. Because of people like you. You're the reason. You're
people
the
like me,
reason why
what?
she did. You're the reason and why many
What do
victims
you mean?
don't
No,
come.
no, 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 no. You're not going
Can
to
I
do that to
please?
me. You're not
Can I
going to
please?
demonize me
You
like
are.
that,
You
like I
are. It's
support or
true.
something like that.
It's
If
true.
you said
I'm
her
sorry you don't want to
friends
hear it, but it's
came and
true.
supported, if they came out then, she had enough evidence and witnesses. Why didn't she do it then?
You have to understand, because many victims feel like they didn't have community and being able to come out, be accepted, and that they would be harassed, they would be gone after. It's hard to hold individuals who are powerful like this accountable, right? You feel like no one will even
I
care
agree with
about your
that.
story. And until after the Me Too movement, many victims feel like they had no place in being able to come out about these things. It is only until recently, within the past decade or two, that women have seen the vast support on social media for them being able to come out. And even still to this day, it's hard for them to do so because we have a rapist in the Oval Office that wasn't held accountable for it. Literally, when he was held civilly liable of sexually abusing women, even when he bragged about walking into the changing rooms of naked women while they changed without their consent, where two 18-year-olds came out, so there were 4 girls as young as 15 years old in these changing rooms. Even when he bragged about grabbing women by the vagina without
You
asking.
just
Even when there are 27 plus people that have accused him of sexual misconduct. Because again, when victims see that, they see, oh, I'm not going to be able to hold my abuser accountable because it wasn't able to even happen in this scenario when the person, the president, was running for the office, and they even held him accountable. So let's just be very clear. This is what prevents victims from coming out in the very first place. If you want to create a culture where victims are more likely to come out earlier on, we need to create a culture that is more likely to accept them, right? That is more likely to provide community for them and is more likely to treat them with decency, humanity, and respect.
okay. So it's not the billionaire and the elite lifestyle that prevents that. It's Joe Schmo like me. Is that what you're trying to
It's
say?
also the elites, yeah. But I'm right now I'm
No,
talking
it
to
is
you.
the elites.
Right now I am
But
talking
you're
to
trying to
Joe
act like
Schmo.
I like Joe Schmo over here, Joey
I am
Baloney.
talking to Joe Schmo
You're
right
gonna
now.
act
Yes.
like I support and I support that kind of bullshit.
Well,
And
you're defending
you're gonna
them.
try to.
Well, you're
I'm
defending
not.
them.
I'm not. I'm defending the situation what you said and the circumstances we're talking about. If her friends came out then and acted like a witness, then why didn't they follow through?
Well, you're the Joe Schmo that's defending the elite pieces of shit. That's what we're saying. Okay, so the elite
I'm
piece
not
of shit,
really.
they're getting away with this shit to a greater extent because Joe Schmoes like you defend it. I'm serious. I know you don't like hearing it. I know it's very direct, but it is the facts. It is the truth. It is true. It is
Oh,
true. It might take you a while to acknowledge it, but it is true. Okay, because there is evidence in this
It's
case.
that's
You can't tell me a single piece of evidence in the case you even actually dispute. You just think it's bullshit and politically motivated simply because it's Trump.
yeah. Let me ask you a question. Outside of Trump, do you believe in term limits
Yes, I do.
for all parties
All
involved? Right?
parties, all individuals, independent, Republican, Democrat, every single person. I believe in age limits. I believe in ranked choice voting. I believe in expanding democracy. Right? I believe in that.
So you believe in term limits, and and give
Absolutely.
me an example of and I agree with you. I'm just going to say it now. I haven't. You might have hammered out how long term limits you want. 15, 20 years, depends Congress, Senate. Just give me a quick example of
It
what you
depends.
want.
Congress depends on the courts. Depends on the Senate. Hell, I think there should even be term limits for the Supreme Court. I think the term limits for Supreme
I
Court should be
kind of agree
15
with
to
you on
20
that. Yeah.
years. I think for the
Okay.
Senate, I think that for
Go
the
ahead.
Senate, you should only be able to run for like a what like I think they already have caps on term limits for like governors
How
and stuff.
many
I think
times
that we
they
should
can
have
run?
the same ones we have for governors. We should apply to like the Senate and House of Reps and stuff. So into all aspects.
Why do you agree on term limits
Why
for
do I
corruption?
agree? Yeah,
To hold back,
it's to prevent
to
corruption. It's to get
deter
new
corruption.
people into politics.
Okay, totally
We
agree.
I think it's
So
good to have new
in
people in
the
all the time progressing with different people. I don't think keeping the
I
same
totally
person in
agree.
over and over again is best because a lot of times it just leads to people just voting for the person because they're
Right,
incumbent, getting used to it, and then that person becomes
totally agree.
complacent in being in that position and isn't kind of fighting to stay in that position. I think it's
Like a lot of
important that politicians are fighting to stay in that position. But the issue is that within the current process of funding, with how corrupt everything is, with all the PACs, the super PACs, all the funding for the corporations, that actually is influencing our political field more than we are able to as individuals ourselves. So get rid of corporate money out of politics, and I think that we are going to have a way better political system.
I would say, I don't want to like lead you with a rope on that, but I totally agree with you on that. And I find myself at the polling booth being my own term limit producer. So when I'm at the polls, I will enact my own term limits. In other words, a person that's been in office constantly, no, they're not getting my vote. It's a new person coming in, regardless. I mean, no, typically not regardless, but the newer person that vibes with me. So on the basis of term limits, and we agree, term limits, right? 20 years. So in the grand scheme of politics and things, do you consider Donald Trump a long-time political person? If you do the math on how long if you do the math on how long Donald Trump's been in politics, it's a gnat on Nancy Pelosi's ass. But yet he's the biggest corrupt person in politics.
Yeah, I mean, he's made trillions of dollars from the presidency. You have to
Oh my
understand that
God. They
you have to
all
understand
do,
that
man.
sir,
They
you have to,
all do. They all go in
Sir, you
poor and
have to
come out
understand that
filthy
he's
rich.
in the position of the presidency. You have to understand that he has a majority support from Republicans within the context of Congress and within all fields of government and across the entire country. That is different than the place that Nancy Pelosi even played. And even so, I again believe in age limits and term limits that would have applied to individuals such as Nancy Pelosi. That's exactly an example as to why I believe in those laws in the very first place. But like, why are you focusing on Nancy
But on
Pelosi
the grand
rather than
scheme,
focusing
my
on
point
Trump, who's our
was
president,
because on
sir?
the grand scheme of things, on term limits, he's been in politics a nanosecond compared to all the rest of them
I just
that
don't
deserve
understand how
term
that
limits.
is not the only basis for looking at corruption. You have to
Oh
understand
no,
that
it's
looking
not just it. Oh
you have
no,
to
but
understand that
because you
just
just
being in office
admitted,
for a long time doesn't
you
mean
said it
corruption, but
deters.
it can
Not all of
increase
them do.
corruption.
Absolutely. So someone that's been in, that ran two times is the most corrupt person in government all of a sudden,
Yeah,
and you
he
don't
is. I mean,
see
he
and you
literally
don't
can I
see that let
it's
media
like you can't take
outlets.
nuance. Hello, Joey.
Yes,
I'm
I can.
sorry.
Yeah,
There's very clear nuance
I
here.
gave you
He's made
nuance.
billions of dollars from the presidency in the past
He's
2
been
years.
making billions
He
of
went from
dollars on his
2.3
businesses and
billion
everything
to
else,
6.5 billion in 2 years.
and it's all due to him being president. Is nothing to
Yes.
do with
Yes, they drop it. He
outside.
dropped a meme coin and rug pulled it. His Truth Social stock is totally in the level it is
Oh,
because of the fact that he's
but
president of the United States.
so if you're president of the United States,
He dropped Trump
is there
coin and rug
laws?
pulled
Is there
it.
laws? But let me. Is there laws saying that you cannot make money as you're
Yes.
president of the United States? There
Yes.
is.
Yes, and he just doesn't follow them.
There's laws saying you cannot make money off being a president
Yeah,
of the
why do
United
you think
States.
that Jimmy Carter had to sell his peanut farm, sir?
Right. And well, from what I understand, he don't control any of his businesses. It's his son's business.
We all
Wink,
know
wink.
that's
It's his
bullshit.
daughter.
And he's made
Right.
individual stock trades for
Okay.
Nvidia, and then he has trades right
Yeah. And well, we
after.
can go on and on about Biden's son
You know
running
who's
and
supposed to hold him accountable for
running
violating the
corporations. What about
Sir,
that?
Sir
See what I'm
Joey,
saying? So it's been going on,
Joe Schmo,
not
Joe
just with
Schmo,
Trump.
Joe Schmo, Joe Schmo. You know who's supposed to hold him accountable for violating the law? Congress. And Congress is not doing that. That's why we have to wait until midterms to actually be able to hold him accountable. Once we get Democrats in, we can do investigations. We can start holding accountable. We can impeach his ass. We can go after him, actually. Whereas right now, there is no accountability for what he does.
I mean, there's been no accountability under a lot of administrations. So,
You have to
all right.
understand
Well, I'm gonna
that he is the
Parker.
one preventing
I
accountability, and
appreciate
that
you.
there has been accountability with prior presidencies, because there's not a comparable basis for what they've done comparative to what past presidents have done. Even J.D. Vance has said himself that Watergate, if it were to happen today, would be just a normal Tuesday for the president.
Oh yeah, I totally agree on that. That's crazy.
Do you realize that
Hey Parker,
ended his political campaign? You can
who
get off. I don't mean
Watergate
to hold you on.
and
Yeah, it ended
Nixon?
Nixon's career. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. It's compared to today's what's going on. It's like wow. But I just wanted to thank you for letting me on. You made me feel special with 6,000 something people, and you put me up. I appreciate it, and I actually look forward to seeing different topics to come debate you with. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right. See
And
him.
all right, ciao.